You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
And now, in Disney.
Well, hello everyone and welcome in. What a beautiful day up here in New England. And we are so glad that we have a lot of people coming in on our Sunday afternoon program. Welcome in. Well, my name is Rick Ferrin, and I'm coming to you from the hub of the universe, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts, as we call it, the apostate capital of the world. And we are so happy to see our audience gaining momentum. We're getting more and more people to come in and listen in and even speak up right here on the Six Screens. Well, anyways, I wanted to start off. We're going to talk a little bit about President Trump as well. Obviously, that's a big story, and that was really a shocking situation that happened last night. And before we get to that and some other things, next weekend on Saturday, we are doing a protest up here. We're going to be putting our boots on the ground in front of the Songus Arena. The Jehovah's Witnesses are meeting there next Saturday. Well, they're meeting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We will be there Saturday, somewhere in the 2 to 3 o'clock area. If you can make it to Songus Center in Lowell, Massachusetts, and if you can come up and protest with us, we're going to have a really good time. I've got some really beautiful signs that we'll be displaying as the witnesses leave the convention. We will be right at the road. There's only one way out of the convention, and we're going to be right there so we can have our banners and let the Jehovah's Witness know that there are people out there that have left the Watchtower that are trying to help others that are still in to get out. So that's going to be good. And then after the protest, I rented a room here at the Hilton Hotel up here in Tewksbury. And what we're going to do is we're going to do our live broadcast next Saturday night from the hotel. Now, it's going to be interesting because the Jehovah's Witnesses are staying there as well for the convention. So there's going to be a lot of witnesses, but we're not going to, get in their face and be ugly or anything to them. But what we're hoping to be able to do is coax some PMOs, some of those that are physically in, mentally out. We can bring them up to our suite and we can have them come live on our program. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I probably give it about a 20% chance. I hope it could happen, but I got some masks. I got the voice changer. So, if someone wants to come up and tell us what they think what's going on in the Watchtower world right now from a witness perspective, that would be wonderful. So that'll be next Saturday night. We'll be broadcasting. All of our programs will be coming. In fact, we'll be coming from the hotel room here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. So if you can come up, we're going to have pizza. We're going to have some cold drinks, and we're going to have a good old time next Saturday night right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. I wanted to mention, of course, President Trump. I like Trump. I really do. I believe he's a good man, the best man. I've felt that way for a long time. I don't mind voicing my position on that. But of course, as we all know, President Trump, you all heard it by now. I know this is just old news. Well, he was released from the hospital late Saturday night, hours after an attempted assassination was made on his life and caused the death of one campaign rally attorney and also critically wounded 2 others, as well as the killer was also killed. So early Saturday morning or Sunday morning, the FBI said the gunman who attempted to assassinate former president was a 20-year-old person. How sad that is, even. Thomas Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. He was killed by a Secret Service man. And I'll tell you, when you hear stories like this, really, it's something that you got to talk about. I mean, this isn't a political program, but I did want to bring that up. But I'm going to tie some religion into politics here. Usually politics and religion don't mix, right? How many times have we heard that? But I'm going to tie some religion into politics. And the reason why I'm going to do it is I got on the Jehovah's Witness .org site. That's their main website. And, they're talking about Hurricane Beryl and how it hit Mexico and the peninsula down that way. There's no mention at all. Now, they'd be in a real predicament. They didn't mention anything at all. They went all over their site. There's nothing on there about the attempted assassination to President Trump. Now, you would think, that's a pretty large organization. They give news. They have on their website news, but no, they don't. No mention of President Trump. I mean, I suppose where they remain politically neutral, they don't really want to step out and make any thoughts on this because it could come back and bite them in the rear end, so to speak, because they don't want their people even voting. They don't even want their people even talking about politics. Never mind putting. But I mean, it's a news event. Now I'm saying, well, okay, the Jehovah's Witnesses didn't put anything up. So I went to some other sites, like for example, the Catholic websites. Oh my goodness, it's all over the Catholic websites. Vatican, here's a headline right here. Vatican condemns violence at Trump rally and offers prayers for the victims and offers peace. Now that's a good headline. That's a good headline. That's a good thing that Vatican can at least speak out about it. That they're not inhibited. So the Vatican expressed their concern over the violence at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania, offering prayers for the nation, for the victims, and like I say, for peace. And it's a terrible thing what's going on in this country right now. In fact, I have to tell you, I kind of didn't have an easy night getting to sleep last night. That really bothered me. It really did. I mean, many on here like President Trump. We all feel he's a good man. He certainly is good. I don't know what all kinds of shots have been made about him as far as his morals are concerned. But I know he's a good president for, being a good country leader, a good business leader as well. But so be it. So then I'm looking at other sites here. I got on the Southern Baptist site. And of course, here's a headline off of their site. Horrific moment. Baptist leaders urge prayer following Trump rally shooting. So the Baptist leaders, they're very quick to respond here after the aftermath of the assassination attempt. And, what is the matter? I'm thinking Jehovah God's organization, as they would say, it's supposedly the only Christian organization on the planet. It's the only organization on the planet. And you say, well, where are they? Can they make some comments about President Trump being shot? I mean, let's face it. President Trump did them a favor. Yeah. The Watchtower actually should be really rooting big time for Trump, not for the assassination, but for him as a political candidate, even though they don't get involved politically. But the Trump organization bought the old Watchtower headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, 25 Columbia Heights. So if you put two and two together here, that the Watchtower should be really thanking President Trump and should feel a little bad about what happened. And there's no mention. There's no mention of that. But just to give you an idea, I was wondering, and we all know, we all know for the most part that evangelical Christians, well, they supported Trump when he ran back in 2020. Now, in fact, 8 out of 10 white evangelical Christians actually voted for Trump in 2020. That's according to the Pew Research Center. So for the most part, evangelicals will go for Trump. They will put Trump in a position to vote for more than another candidate. And there's reasons for that. One of the things I noticed even today when Trump, he didn't come on live TV or anything, but he did on X, he tweeted, I suppose he made some comments and posts, but he talked about that God was with him. So I would say that's a godly minded man, wouldn't you? I mean, I'm not going to judge him as a Christian. I'm not sure what his position truly is on that, but at least he does believe in God. He does uphold, well, let me put it this way. He doesn't like abortions, right? he's kind of speaking against that. He wants the states to kind of come across and make a decision. So he seems to be wanting to do things that will help Christians. He wants even the Watchtower, even though he's going to allow them to continue to practice in this country. He's not putting a ban on them anything. So he would think I'm just thinking out loud. That's all. I'm just my own feelings coming through here today. I'm even thinking that they could make a little favorable mention. They don't have to tell the witnesses to vote for Trump, but they could at least say a sad day in America. The political unrest is creating some issues, but they had a big good chance to take advantage of something like this, but they didn't. So, anyways, it's something that I just wanted to bring up here. And we wish President Trump the best. We pray for him, and we hope that all good things can work out for him and also the victims of that rally. It was really a day to remember. I think all of us will remember. That's the other thing. We can all remember. I'm going to tell you something. There's certain events in life that we remember. Those listening into the program, maybe you can remember when President Kennedy was shot. Where were you? I was in high school. I believe I was a freshman at the time, yes. And I remember the teachers crying and the kids crying. It was terrible. And even we can remember where we were. All of us can do that when there's some major event like that. And I think a lot of us will remember what we were doing last night. I know what I was doing. We had a man come on the program. He calls in from Michigan. And, sometimes he gives kind of, rattle your cage type answers and kind of tries to get an argument of some type going. But you know who the man is? His name is Mike. He's a good guy. We like him. But he last night, he came on during the program. He says, Rick, I want to talk about President Trump. Well, at the time, I didn't really want to get into it. I mean, this is not like a political program. So I told him, Mike, I said, let's let it go with that. Let's stay on the topic. And then my wife came in and she said, President Trump was shot. So immediately we started talking about that. I felt the need to do that because of this. That was a big event in history. It was a history-making moment, really. So anyways, let's wish President Trump the best. And he looks like he's going to the Republican convention tomorrow in Milwaukee. So I'm looking forward. I don't know if he'll appear there tomorrow, but I know he'll appear this week. And I'll tell you what, he's going to get a lot of people that are really going to get him a standing ovation. The poor man needs it. Look at it. The man is, he's older than me. I'm 76. I believe he's 80 or 79. And, he took a bullet to the ear and then he dropped to the ground. He knew what he was doing. It's a good thing he ducked down. But then he gave a little heads up there with his fist and let everyone know he was okay. I think he's a remarkable person to be able to do the things that he does. So let's wish him all the best. And even those that aren't for Trump, wish him the best anyways. And I mean that sincerely, and pray for him too. All right. Anyways, let's take a look here and see what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. I talked last night, the new ruling on disfellowshipping. They had the article in the August 24 Watchtower study edition. It just came out 2 weeks ago, and it was delayed. It was the first time in Watchtower history that the Watchtower was actually delayed. They came out with the September edition before they came out with the August edition, and people were wondering why don't we have the August edition? Well, the governing body and the powers to be, the legal department, and all the people at Watchtower, the officials, they had to carefully take a quick look, not a quick look, but a long look, I should say, and scrutinize what they were going to say, because they are making some monumental changes. As we know, many countries are really learning about the evils of the Watchtower. They're learning how bad these people are, what they do to other people, how they shun people, young people being kicked out of their homes. Norway is not going to give them money this year. They were getting close to $2 million a year from Norway, but Norway said, no, you're not going to get it this time around. And they were getting it, I believe, for 22 years. So the Watchtower was all upset that other countries might follow suit. But one of the reasons why Norway won't give the Watchtower the charity money is because they shun people. and they hurt people through their disfellowshipping. So what do you think the Watchtower is doing? Changing all of this. They don't want to lose millions of dollars, friends. So they somehow, however they're going to do it, they got to get around disfellowshipping. So one way they did it, they started off in the questions from readers in the August 24 edition of the Watchtower. They had a question from readers box and it talked about marking. Now, I won't go into a lot of it here in the news. We only have a short time, but the marking is no longer going to be done by the elders. The marking is going to be done, when you're marked in the Kingdom Hall, you're like a weak person. You might have done something bad. Somebody caught you doing something and it quite wasn't, a disfellowshipping offense, but they put a mark on you, like you are you're a questionable person. So that happened. And that was happening for years. And then they're going to do away with elders marking people in the congregation for the behavior and conduct. They're now going to let the congregation do it. Oh, yeah, that's going to work. All the gossiping people in the congregations, they're going to be judging people. And maybe Sister Smith has a little vendetta in for Sister Jones. Maybe Sister Jones is too friendly with her husband or something, so she doesn't like Sister Jones. And now Sister Smith starts a rumor that she's a bad woman. Sister Jones is bad. And, Sister Jones now won't be invited to any gatherings or get-togethers. So I got thinking, okay, so now we have a new marking going on in the Watchtower. So if the congregation is going to do the marking, don't you think it would now be applicable for the congregation to mark elders? I mean, there's nothing I read in that Watchtower magazine. It was pretty packed with information about marking, disfellowshipping, but there's nothing I read in that August 24 study edition Watchtower that said anything about the congregation not marking elders. I don't know if they thought about it. I mean, that's why they had to give some careful consideration. So really now, suppose you have an elder or a ministerial servant in the congregation that's really a strange duck. And, he's doing things that everybody knows is not right. Can the congregation mark him? The answer I'm thinking here would be yes. And, if that brother came up and said, hey, Sister Smith, I want to come up. I got to give you and your husband a shepherding call. So Brother and Sister Smith could say, hey, Mr. Elder, Brother Elder, don't come. You can't come to my house. We got you marked. Could that happen? So then I can put more legs on this. If you can mark an elder, you can mark a ministerial servant. Could you mark a governing body? Could that mean that we could mark a governing body? I mean, I'm saying we, just to say in the vernacular, but could a witness mark a governing body member too? I guess it would be appropriate when you think about it. I know one thing, when I was disfellowship back in 2005, I'm glad Satan kicked me out of his organization, but when I was disfellowship back in 2005, that what took place back then is, in my own mind, I marked the governing body. I marked them as being apostates. They call me an apostate. I marked them as being apostate. Now, I mean, it wasn't, written up on the Lowell Sun that Rick Farron marked the governing body. The congregation didn't even know about it, but I knew about it. I marked them as an evil group of men. So, this is going to create some real issues in the Watchtower, in the congregations. It is going to be terrible. And Eric, who does a program here on our Six Screens Telenetwork, Eric brought up a week or so ago, he says, Rick, I would rather be judged by 3 elders than by the congregation. I think everyone listening to this program would say yes. I think everyone listening to this program would say yes. I'd rather be judged by 3 men than the congregation. I don't know how they're going to pull this off. This is going to really rub people the wrong way. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to, they're going to really be disgusted with the behavior of some of their fellow congregants, that they're not going to like it at all. So I don't know. The Watchtower seems to be running very, very renegade. And, on that same subject, I also discussed last night, I'm going to briefly discuss it today as well. They come out and they warn Jehovah's Witnesses. That is, the officials of the Watchtower have warned the rank and file that they would be receiving information that would not be sound from a human standpoint. So they said this. In fact, you got to go back to the Watchtower, November 15th, 2013. And it's on page 20. And it says that all of us must be ready to obey any instruction we may receive, whether these appear sound from a human standpoint or not. See, so this is why they're changing things. That's why even in that article, 2024 Watchtower, this doesn't seem sensible to me to have the congregation mark people. It doesn't sound sensible. I mean, if you even talk to any other Christian organizations, I mean, the witnesses aren't Christian, even though they claim they are. But if you talk to any other Christian organization, the Southern Baptist, let's go with the Lutheran. If you talk to some of their people and you said, you know what the Watchtower is doing, that they're marking the people being, they're going to mark people in the congregation. What do you think they would say? They would look at that as not even being sensible. That's nonsensible. That's nonsense. But, I also found out, I did a little research. We've been doing this program, like I said, for a number of years. But what I'm finding here, that's the first time I heard this idea of obey the Watchtower, even though it doesn't sound sensible. That's the first time back in 2013 that I heard it. And then as I looked up and I've spent some time going through some research here, I found numerous times, not a lot, but a number of times, they mentioned, I believe, in 2 other articles in the Watchtower, plus in some of their videos, they suggested the same thing, that if you hear something that doesn't sound logical, just go along with it. Friends, that's a dangerous position to put yourself in. I mean, if someone comes up to you and starts saying something that's illogical and it doesn't make any sense to you, do you have to believe what they're saying? The answer is no. The answer is no. So, I mean, there's so many things, if you stop and think about it, that we can say, look, that's not logical. I'm not going to believe it. In fact, just to give you an idea, if you go back to the annual meeting of October 7th, 2023, that would have been the last annual meeting. Listening to that talk, it became more clear to me that, they're not sensible. They're giving information that's not sensible, but they want people to believe it. For example, back at that annual meeting in 2023, the Watchtower leaders, they actually said that we need to merge congregations. That is, combine them. You got one congregation down on Smith Street. You got another one down on North Street. Let's put them both together. So they said they have to merge more congregations and sell off more kingdom halls. So from the year 2020 to 2022, 2 years, there are over 2,427 congregations that have been eliminated. So the Jehovah's Witness organization, they're saying, hey, friends, Jehovah's chariot is on the move, and we are moving forward. Are they really? So they closed down 2,427 congregations. At the same time, they're telling you they're growing and they're stronger than ever before. Does that make sense? That's nonsense. But that's what the Watchtower is trying to get away with here. Even though it doesn't sound sensible, well, that doesn't sound sensible. And then what about when the Jehovah's Witness leadership says that we need to invest heavily in new commercial real estate, like up at Ramapo and the Long Island Geico building purchase, and many other buildings they've purchased in the last few years. And so they're buying these buildings, and yet at the same time, the growth of the Jehovah's Witness organization is flat and in many places declining. So does that make sense? Does it make sense that they bought this land to put this giant digital media center in Ramapo, New York, to produce videos? It's going to cost, some of the numbers floating across the net have been upwards of $500 million, $500 million. Does that make sense? that they would do that in this day and age. And now it looks like it's on a holding pattern. It looks like it's on a holding pattern. So people are seeing it. There's a lot of other things I could talk about, but it's how do you make sense out of nonsense? We've said that so many times before. Well, I'm just taking a look here through. I'm going to skim through. We do have our program, the Christian Court, coming up here in about 10 minutes. So we're looking forward to that. And it's going to be a good program today. So stay with us. I'm just taking a look here at a few things. Something that I realize is very, very important for us to discuss here is ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. The organization right now, the Jehovah's Witness Watchtower organization, friends, it's now the incredible shrinking religion. The incredible shrinking religion. Members of the congregation, they have a hard time believing it's shrinking, but they're seeing it, that they're actually seeing the evidence of a shrinking organization. All you have to do is go to the conventions this year. All you have to do is go to the meetings. You can't in any way work around that. You can't. I mean, the Watchtower can come up with all kinds of reasons. Well, people are on Zoom, or people are not coming here. They're now moved to another congregation. All of this stuff is baloney. And, the witnesses that are in, the loyal witnesses, they're actually seeing this, friends. They're actually coming to grip. Many are beginning to wake up. Some of the emails I get here into the 6 screens, some of the people are telling me their relatives, their close friends that have been loyal witnesses, they're giving up. They're throwing the towel in. They no longer want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of the reasons, too, why they're changing the rules on disfellowshipping, changing the rules on beards, changing the rules on women being able to wear like slacks and pants. And the reason for that is because who wants to belong to an organization that puts rules on all of this? How do you expect to get someone to come in to an organization? It's like a salesman. Have you ever sold a product? Some of the people listening into this program, they're probably salespeople. And the way that you sell a product is the person who you're selling the product to, that person has to feel that they benefit. They have to feel, okay, if I buy this product, I'm benefiting. So I want you to know something. If you're trying to sell the Jehovah's Witness religion, and you're going to go out and knock on the door or try to recruit someone out on a cart work, you better give them a good benefit. Well, what benefits is it for a person today to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, up till recently, you can't have a beard. You can't have a beard. Oh, no, sister, you can't wear slacks. No, in fact, did you know that you could be shunned? They got to get rid of all of this stuff, but they're not going to get anybody. If anyone's going to buy into the Watchtower, they got to dump all of this. They're not going to get anybody to respond. So we're seeing some monumental changes going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Boy, I have to tell you, too, it's too long to get into that. I got a lot of stories here that we could have got through, but it's okay. We'll just the attendance. I'm just going to give you the attendance. Let's just talk about this. South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina Regional Convention. They've had it in the last week. I believe they're having one last week. I believe it was last week, yes. Generally, they would have 2 conventions in Greenville, South Carolina. A lot of witnesses down there. Generally, they would have 2 conventions for the last few years, but this time they only have one. And the one convention they had, it hovered around 5,500 people, 5,500 people maximum. Now, in years prior, there would be upwards of 10 to 11,000 people. So, you can see some things really taking place. The same thing out in Long Beach, California. Well, they had the convention 2 weeks ago, and that's one of the bigger conventions for the Jehovah's Witnesses in America, the Long Beach, California convention. And there was like 4,000 people that went there. versus a few years ago, there was upwards of 12, 13,000. So, the Watchtower can say, well, we're growing. We are growing. That's why many witnesses are starting to really question the governing body. They're really saying, is this really true? Are we getting the truth? No, you're not. So anyways, I want to thank everyone for coming into JW World News. If anyone has any thoughts, we got a few minutes here. If you'd like to speak up and say something, you're on with us. Just hit *6. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick. Hey, this is Gilbert, and I just wanted to say that about the Donald Trump thing. When the Australian Royal Commission was taking place, I said it last night in the show, there was a woman who called me from Australia, and she was panicking because she goes, Gilbert, the elder that is speaking at the court trial.
Where's the mute? Where's the mute? It'll happen.
I'm sorry, Gilbert. Go ahead.
So the lady called me from Australia, and she goes, Gilbert, the lawyer who's speaking at the trial for the abused children, he used to be, he's the elder in my book study. So this Jehovah's Witness from Australia was panicking because she was seeing the elder lying in real time in the Australian Royal Commission. And she goes, Gilbert, I had nobody to call. I had nobody to talk to. And I'm scouring the internet, and I saw YouTube, and you had the Awake hotline. So I talked to her for hours. And this is what, fast forward now to today, where we have a president that's been shot. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses have no one to talk to. But thanks to the 6 screens and other people who do videos, this is why we say, silence is a killer. When you don't let people talk and vent their frustrations, their fears, their concerns, you're actually doing a disservice to them physically. You're hurting them. And I'm glad that you mentioned that about the Catholic Church and the Baptists and everybody else. They're talking about it, and they're even instructing their pastors and their leaders to talk to people. People need to talk. We're today, regardless of our beliefs, our political beliefs, this is not healthy. And if you're a woman that has children, you're scared because violence gets more violence, and a woman is scared for her family. And then you have people that say we can't talk about this. This is morally reprehensible on what Watchtower is doing about keeping a lid on this subject. And I think the 6 Screens is doing a good job by saying, no, we're going to talk about it, but in a way that hopefully we can bring relief to those that need to talk, that need to vent.
Well, very good comment. Very good comment, Gilbert. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, you're welcome. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Okay. We're going to be going to the Christian court. I hope you can stay with us. There's a lot of trends we're going to talk about. Now, we say, what is the Christian court, Rick? Well, that's one of our newest programs here on the 6 Screens Network. And, in the world of Christianity, sometimes peculiar questions are raised. And then, it's not like a salvation point. For the most part, we don't discuss things that are going to keep you out of the kingdom. But sometimes people wonder, what should they do? I know you'll enjoy some of the questions on the court docket today. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Don't head for the mountains because you hear the word Christian. So stay with us, please. We're going to end JW World News and stay on this network right now. Stay on the Facebook page, stay on the YouTube page and on telephone network. And we're going to go to the Christian court. Thank you for coming in. And we appreciate all those that have commented as well as watched us and commented in the chat on our various networks. Thank you.